Hello Eurovision friends, thank you so much for coming to my channel, Eurovision Histories. Today in this video I want to try to predict who will be the televote winner of Eurovision 2024, or maybe the 5 countries that I think are potentially a televote winner, because this is a very open year and it's kind of hard to predict. Last year it was kind of clear that the winner would either be Loreen or Kerje, and it turned out to be correct. I will do another separate video on the potential winners of the jury vote, and then later on I will also combine the two and make a grand prediction on who the possible winners of Eurovision might be. So, last year I did predictions as well. I was pretty good, but there were some things that I got wrong. Obviously, I'm not Nostradamus or anything like that. So do take this with a pinch of salt. I'm just talking basically, so don't also take it too seriously. If you have a different opinion, let me know in the comments. But please explain your opinion. Just telling me that I'm wrong doesn't really help me at all. So let's get right to it. What I want to do is look at the last 5 editions and the top 5 of the televote to kind of try to distill the essence of a televote winning song, like which songs do the televoters go for, which performance, which kinds of artists. So let's get right to it. In 2019, this was the top 5 of the televote, and you can kind of see, I mean, the winners were Kano, a schlagery pop, a bit campy, and there were some traditional elements as well. Then you had Duncan Lawrence with a very strong ballad, English pop ballad. Then you had Mahmoud. I'm always a bit unsure how to categorize Soldi, but I guess it's urban pop with hip-hop elements in Italian. Very good performance as well. Then you have Sergei Lazarev with an impressive staging and also a very dramatic ballad, and Luca Hänni with a very slick and well-performed pop song. In 2021, because of course 2020 we didn't have a Eurovision, unfortunately, the winners were Måneskin with a very strong rock song, very charismatic performers, a very loud, visually loud performance as well, and of course the song is quite loud too, in a genre that doesn't usually do that well at Eurovision, but for the televoters they really liked it. In second place, another song that combines traditional and modern elements, like a folk electro song, I guess, with a very engaging performance as well. Goa is what I'm talking about. Then you have Barbara Pravi, again a ballad, very well staged, very well performed by her, full of emotions as well. That is what the televoters go for. You have Klein Channel, another rock song with a very visually loud performance and also musically loud performance. And you have Daði with nerd pop from Iceland. And in 2022, you had Kalush Orchestra, a song with hip-hop elements, with traditional elements in the national language. Stop Si Stoop, I think they kind of profited a lot from being in that second half where there were a lot of ballads. But this is also a song, very traditional, lots of traditional elements in the traditional language. Chanel, a very slick pop song with an impressive choreo. I think one of the best choreos we've ever seen at Eurovision. We have Constructa, a very artsy performance that the juries didn't go for at all, but the televoters really, really liked. And it's also a very catchy song, I think. And then you have Sam Ryder, another slick pop song in English with a very impressive staging with that rocket opening up. And then last year, I think all of you still remember Kerje, just a very out there, loud, entertaining performance, full of energy and fun. You have Loreen, a very professional performance with a great staging. Alessandra, same thing, great pop song, good staging. Tworci with a good pop song again. I'm kind of repeating myself, but it's true. And an impressive staging. And you had Noah Kirel with a very good choreography, good staging, and a slick pop song. So 2023 was kind of the year of the slick pop songs, except for maybe Kerje, which is more heavy metal and electronic beats. So I looked at these and I tried to find what do the televoters like. I think we can say that they do like a loud performance, whether that is visually loud or musically loud, doesn't really matter. It has to be over the top, it has to be entertaining, and it has to have a great staging. And I think this is because people are watching the show at home either with friends and they're kind of noticing that something is happening when it's a louder performance, while they might be talking through the ballads, which is why sometimes I don't have parties anymore, because I want to see the performances. And examples of that are Kerje, great staging, Måneskin, Goa, Blind Channel, and Sergei Lazarev as well. Then, and this is kind of surprising, I think, for some maybe, traditional elements is also something that the televoters quite like. If you look at Kalush Orchestra, at Goa, at Stopsy Stoop, or even Kano with the yoik in the performance, these are 2 televote winners and 2 second places with very strong traditional elements. So it seems like the televoters aren't as scared of these as the juries seem to be sometimes. And then, of course, it helps to have a well-performed, very slick pop song, catchy pop song with a good choreo like Loreen, like Alessandra, like Noah Kirel, Sam Ryder, Chanel, and Luca Henney, even though Sam Ryder had more of a bombastic staging than a choreo, I guess. And then something I also noticed, especially comparing it to the juries, the televoters don't mind a national language entry, while the juries, these are all generalizations, of course. You have to remember that. While the juries kind of prefer songs that are in English for reasons I don't really understand. But you have Måneskin, you have Kalush Orchestra. A lot of the the televote winners are in national language, and a lot of the jury winners are not. Now, having these criteria in mind, I looked at the entries we have this year and tried to find 5 that kind of fit the bill and kind of fulfill at least some of these criteria. So here they are. I also have a few honorable mentions later on. First, I have Angelina Mango with La Noia for Italy. This is an entertaining performance, I think. It has a cool choreo. It's not a slick choreo, but I think that's actually a positive because it will make it stand out, because it seems like she is doing it improvised, and that just gives it a freshness that other entries might not have. This is in a national language, which the televoters sometimes like, and it also combines lots of different elements, traditional elements, modern elements in the sound and the instrumentation. And so I think she has a good chance to be the televote winner, or at least do really well in the televote. Next up, and this may be one of the reasons why La Noia and this one aren't doing as well, because they are relatively similar in feeling and style, a little bit at least. I have Marina Sati. Oh, the name of the song is Meding. Sorry, Sadi is the song, of course. And this is also combining traditional elements, which the televoters like a lot, with modern sounds, with a reggaeton beat, which is quite in at the moment. It has national language, it has a traditional instrument with the zurna, and it is a very Marina is a very charismatic performer who will be able to perform the song really, really well. And the staging seems to be impressive, the things I've heard about the staging at least. So this is another one where I think it might do very well. If La Noia for some reason doesn't do as well, this might pick up a lot of these televotes as well. Then I have Jerry Heil and Alyona with Teresa and Maria. I mean, just looking at the last 3 years, Ukraine was always in the top 4, winner once in the televote, second in 2021. So it's a force to be reckoned with. This is a song that combines traditional elements and modern elements again. It has a rap part that is really well performed. They are both engaging performers. I think the staging has to be improved, but the fact that Ukraine always brings 100% when it comes to staging to the Eurovision stage, I'm not very worried about this. And it is a ballad in a year where we don't have that many ballads, but it is a ballad that is unique and stands out with the rap part, with the chanting, with the traditional elements. So I think this will do really, really well in the televote and is a potential winner. Then we have Baby Lasagna with Rim Tim Tagidim. I mean, people compare this to Carrier. I don't think it is that similar to Carrier. It is similar in the feeling, in the loudness of the performance, and the way the performance is entertaining and keeps you engaged. The song is very catchy. This will have a very slick staging by the time we get to Malmö, I'm quite sure. And he also has the story that a lot of televoters, I think, will like, this fairy tale story of he wasn't even in the national final, only entered the national final after someone else dropped out, won that, and then he goes to Eurovision and does this great performance. The song also has a deep message that a lot of people, I think, will relate to, especially people who have left their home town or village will be able to relate to this, and this will get some votes from rock fans. This will get some votes from people who relate to the message. He is a very charismatic performer as well. And so I think that Croatia and Baby Lasagna are quite likely to be top 2, top 3 in the televote, I'm quite sure. But the one I think is most likely actually to do it and to win the televote at the moment would be Joost Klein with Europapa. Now, this is where you see that this is a prediction, not my personal opinion, because I have this song like in 16th position in my personal top. But when you look at the streaming numbers, the Netherlands are 100% behind this entry. I mean, not all the people, I guess, but a lot of people love this. And a lot of Dutch people that are all around Europe will vote for this on the night. This will get points from Germany and Belgium. It is also doing well on the streaming charts in several other countries like Austria and the Baltics. And this is just a kind of performance that is loud in the way that it makes you look up and notice what is happening. It is very entertaining. He will keep us engaged for 3 minutes. I'm 100% sure the staging will be good for this. The Netherlands are good at staging usually. Sometimes there are some years where they're not as good, but I think this year we can really expect something incredible. And the message of the song with his father might be lost on some people, but I think the message of uniting Europe and appreciating what you have with how Europe is at the moment will resonate with people as well. And so I think that Joost Klein is the most probable winner of the televote. One thing I forgot to mention with Baby Lasagna is the mention of the cat. And if they include the cat a bit more, people love cats, I noticed in the comments to my rating video for Croatia. So that might also help him. So my prediction would be for Joost Klein, Baby Lasagna, or Aljona and Jerry Heil to win the televote, with dark horse status for Angelina Mango and maybe Marina Sati as well. But I have a few honorable mentions that also might do well. I don't think they have it in them to really win the televote, but they might still do well. Norway is combining traditional elements, national language, with rock. So these are two things that the televoters usually like. It's a loud performance visually and musically. So people might go for this, and the fans of this genre will vote for this, I'm 100% sure. Then I have Sweden. I think that this might not do as well, maybe, but why do I have it here? Because it is one of the only and kind of the only male-led English pop song we have this year. The staging is incredibly impressive. A lot of people will remember the staging just from seeing it once. And they're first in the running order. That might hurt them a bit, especially with the televoters. But I think this will do well. I don't think it's enough to win the televote. Austria, I'm kind of on the fence with this. If people really want this kind of song, they might vote for it and it might do well, but it also might not. I'm actually a bit on the fence, so we shall see. Then I have Luktelk from Lithuania, again, a male-led pop song, the only other one apart from Sweden, as far as I know. Very impressive staging and catchy chorus, but I don't think this is enough to win the televote. And Switzerland, I think this is one of the contenders to win overall. It is an impressive song, catchy song. It also makes you look up and notice what is happening, which is always important. In Eurovision, it's the kind of artsy stuff. I might compare it a bit to Constructa, but it's also a slick pop song. It's kind of in the middle between these two things, and that might just be enough to convince enough people. Or the opposite will happen and people will just be a bit surprised by it. But it's doing very well in Eurovision scoreboard and in the odds, so I'm kind of thinking that this might be it. And then I also wanted to include a ballad, because we saw in the previous 5 editions that ballads did do quite well. There was always 1 or 2 ballads in the top 5, even of the televote. And I thought about Serbia because it creates an interesting atmosphere. There might be some diaspora support for it as well. But I think it might be just a bit too subdued for the televoters. I also thought about Israel because people might be wanting to support the entry, but this is a very difficult case to predict, as I've said in my prediction for semifinal 2 as well, because we've never had a situation like this with everything going on around the entry. So I have no idea how this will turn out in the end. And then in the end, I decided to include France, a lot of this will depend on the running order the ballots are in. I think if the ballot that is latest in the running order might have a bit of an edge. But I do think that the very emotional performance that we've seen from Slimane, and also the fact that he mentions Paris, mon amour, je t'aime, words that the televoters recognize. And I also noticed that the televoters kind of want a bit of a stereotypical thing to happen, because we saw Grande Amore from Italy win. We saw Voila do really well. And this is kind of the kind of song I think people expect from France, and that might help it in the end. Again, I don't think this will win the televote or even be in the top 5 probably, but I think it might do a bit better than people are expecting. So this is my prediction for who might win the televote in Eurovision 2024. Do let me know in the comments if you have a different opinion. Try to convince me, as I've said. And also remember, again, I'm not an expert. I'm just talking. I'm just sharing my thoughts with you. This is not really, I'm not Nostradamus, once again. So let me know in the comments what you think, and please subscribe to this channel. The jury video will come out soon, and then my overall prediction, and lots of other fun stuff is coming up on the channel, so do subscribe, and then I'll see you for my next video if you want to. See you then, and bye-bye.